Welcome to Set the Sails, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Brought to you by Bucs Life Media and our official sponsor, the Jersey Wave. Streaming on FanStreamSports.com, airing on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And now, your hosts, James Flash Ludeman, James BritBuc Wilson, and Ruth The Truth Cagiaus. We are going live in 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Set the Sails, the podcast. My name is James Ludeman, of course, joining you on Bucs Life Media, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, our one follower. Thank you so much, Twitch. We love you. Make sure you guys are liking, sharing, subscribing, bringing it around. We got an awesome show lined up for you tonight. As of course, we're going to bring on our panel as well of guests. And then we have our first guest who is ready to go. So we're going to bring him on here as well in just a second. But let's bring in our hosts. And first, he is one of the hosts of Sports Caffeine, which you can hear going back to mornings starting tomorrow at 9 in the morning Eastern time. Check them out at Sports Caffeine, a part of the FanStream Sports Network. Bushman is here with us. Evan, how are we doing, sir?
What's up, buddy? You brought me in first. Thank you.
Yeah,
you don't normally do that, but thank you.
I know. I'm going in order of where people are. Next up, he's been here since the beginning, and he's a good friend of mine. Of course, he writes for Bucs Life Media, does a lot of really cool stuff. You know him as BritBuc himself, joining us live from Canada. Of course, BritBuc. Good evening, happy Monday, sir.
Happy Monday! I can't believe you brought in Bushman before me.
I'm doing in order.
It's because of the smooth voice, buddy. Come on now.
It is. I'm gonna have to work on the radio voice clearly. And you know what? Episode 17, and as Dean Jensen says, pads are cracking, and it's gonna be a great show.
It is going to be a fantastic show. We'll bring in our next host. She is also one of the hosts of a new podcast coming to the FanStream Sports Network. And, of course, she's been with us for quite a while now. Ruth The Truth, everybody. Welcome in, Ruth.
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to episode 17. It's good to be here.
17. I love it. It's good stuff. And her co-host, who is now going to be a regular on our panel here, thankfully. And she is also a co-host of Beauty and the Cleats, which actually starts next week on Wednesday. So you can check them out on all of your podcast channels. Kaylee Chicoski is here with us. Kaylee.
Hello.
I think I even said your last name semi-right this time.
You did. That was 100% right.
Oh, in the world of Tom Brady.
It takes practice.
Ladies are taking over.
Takes practice.
Well, we're going to bring in our first guest, and I am super excited about this. The last time we had this gentleman on was
You're going to bring it up, aren't you?
Was episode 3. And it seems like it was forever ago since we've had this gentleman on. And last time we may have had a semi-medical emergency. Just kidding. It wasn't a medical emergency. It was burnt toast, I think, maybe. Greg Auman is joining us from The Athletic. He writes about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Greg Auman, good evening, sir. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I have nothing in the toaster right now, so it should
I
just
was going to ask. I was going to say before we get started, is there anything cooking at the moment?
There was legit smoke billowing from the. It's like I put a piece of toast in and forgot about it, and I don't have a very good toaster oven, to be honest.
In case
so I just kind of kept toasting infinitely. And I just look up and
it was the panic.
That was the highest rated Twitter episode we've had to date, by the way. That is a true statement.
I'll see if I can create a small fire to help tonight. So
sorry, and as well, sorry, Greg. Something has been brought to my attention very recently. Are we getting this right? Is it Greg Auman or is it Greg Auman?
Auman is it? How it is? Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's
Auman.
It's Auman. Well, yeah, because I know that obviously we were with Mark Cook as well talking about the Best of the Bay nominations, and it's like. We figured that it was supposed to be you, right? At the end of all that,
probably, yeah. I felt like the Greg Auman jokes. Like I do a lot of radio appearances out of town, and you'll get especially if it's a new host, you'll get a lot of, oh, Greg Auman, oh, it's great. You get a share joke or something like that. And I thought that it would like kind of go down a little bit when he passed away. Not at all. Still the same amount. So it's fine.
Well, Greg, we're going to kickstart our talk here. And obviously today was a little bit of Christmas Day, not just for you, but for us as fans as well of the game, as the Buccaneers were in pads today. I know you were out there checking it out and looking around at it, and tell us what was the energy there as far as pads go. I know you guys are kind of limited as far as what you're able to see and be a part of and things like that. But can you tell us maybe a little bit of the energy of practice today? Had to have been up there pretty high.
Yeah, no, it really was. It was interesting. It was one of those where I think everything felt much more real today than it has up to this point. It's like we've had 5 months with Tom Brady on board here in Tampa, but so much of that has been kind of just procedural, like he had signed with the Bucs, but you hadn't really seen him in person. He had barely talked since he'd come on with the team. So today I felt like was just very much a this is real kind of thing, where you could see he and Gronk too, honestly. I mean, he and Gronkowski both out there. It's just a nerd. I mean, you've been to hundreds of Bucs practices, and this is very much the same. It's just Tom Brady is there and Gronkowski is there. And even like LaShawn McCoy, like that's still a weird new thing to have. So it was neat in that it just had the only real difference for us in terms of a practice is that you're wearing masks while you're at practice. And we couldn't, usually you can kind of move around the practice field and watch from different angles. And with social distancing, they want us all in one place in one area, just kind of, it's almost like sheep, but in one area where they can control where you are. And that was the only real difference. Everything else was great and felt like a practice 3 weeks before the season could start.
Go ahead, Ruth. Ruth The Truth has a question.
Hi, Greg. So nice to meet you. I hope you tune into me and Kaylee's show that will be kicking off next Wednesday, Beauty in the Cleats. We will hope to have you on the show sometime in the future.
Not at all.
So I wanted to know, it's a big difference having the GOAT here in Tampa. Can you tell me a little bit about the atmosphere at practice with Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady joining us and what the difference might be from when Jameis was there?
Yeah,
James
I think
is your favorite person.
It's one of those where they're both fairly low-key guys during practice. Gronkowski kind of jogs around like anybody else. When you see emotion is when it's cool. So like the first pass today in 11 on 11 was Brady going over the top to Scotty Miller. Great first kind of play.
90 yards.
And it's one of those where it's 90 yards, but it's like they're not really playing on a full field, but threw it basically as far as you could want to throw it for a deep ball. And then you could hear, Brady had this very demonstrative fist pump and the woo kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just neat that at 43, he's won 6 rings and he's still excited about a practice throw being completed. So it's fun that way. I think there's still a big kid aspect to him. And he only lets that out every once in a while.
Awesome.
Greg, out of all the rookies practicing today on pads, which ones looked, pretty strong first day, or which ones are kind of still shaky a little bit, kind of get the nervous rust off being day one of practice?
Yeah, you notice Tristan Wirfs just in that he was from the very first snap there as the starting right tackle, which I think everybody presumed. But sometimes they'll kind of make rookies earn a starting position and they'll kind of start them with the second team for a week and then put them in. But I thought it was telling that just from the start, he's the starting right tackle. I didn't notice him that much. You kind of don't notice pass rush because they're going to blow the whistle dead, or they kind of teach the guys to just run past the quarterback. So you almost don't notice a sack or what would be a sack as much. I will definitely say I noticed Antoine Winfield had a really nice play where he stripped the ball. They had a pass across the middle of Bryant Mitchell, and he just kind of very stealthy just went by and just scooped it right out, and the ball like flipped up in the air. He's smaller. You definitely can appreciate that he's a smaller guy. He's a lot. His dad played 14 years in the NFL as a smaller DB. But like I said, made a play right away. And his reputation in Minnesota was that he's a ball hawk, that he had 7 picks this year and was involved in all these takeaways and turnovers. So for him to do that right away was a nice introduction for him. We haven't seen Tyler Johnson yet. Notice Chappelle Russell as a 7th-round draft pick. He's the inside linebacker from Temple. He was in there with the twos a decent amount, which bodes well for him. The 2 rookie running backs, I can't say I saw that much of. Vaughn, you notice he wears number 30. Saw him. It's like the runs. It's kind of like even when you break through on a run, It's just that you knew that no one was going to hit you that hard, so you can kind of get away with a little bit more in the hole. Ray Calle, who's the 7th-round pick from Louisiana, he wears 43, which doesn't seem like a super fast running back number. I know Bobby Rainey wore that and was really fast wearing that. Those were the rookies. We didn't really see that much of the rookie offensive lineman. I got a story on the kid from Boise State, John Molshon, coming out tomorrow, so I was kind of looking for him, but it really just didn't see much of him that way. There's rookies all over the field, though. So I mean, you'll be seeing lots of them in camp.
Cool.
Yeah, and one of the questions that I wanted to ask there, Greg, is obviously, as we discussed a little bit, you're quite active there on social media. Now, we're hearing that obviously Brady is throwing picks in practice. What would you say the difference around social media is between obviously Brady throwing picks in practice to when, for example, Jameis Winston was throwing picks, but even, take the controversy out of it, even when backup quarterbacks are throwing picks, it's like, oh my God, is this guy going to be a bust? Can he not throw accurately? Is the defense balling out? What are you sort of seeing, as I say, through social media and with your own eyes, the differences that's going on in the practices there?
It was a weird deal because, you don't always see who's throwing. They rotate the quarterbacks in constantly. So you're not always aware of who threw it initially. I didn't see who threw it, and they kind of all just jumble back in. It's almost like a shell game. So I didn't know who threw the pick. I saw Motley make the pick and kind of watched him and said, oh, wow, that's 39. That's Motley. And didn't know who threw it. I'd kind of presumed normally for an undrafted rookie to be in on defense, you'd think it'd be like the third or fourth quarterbacks. That'd be like Ryan Griffin or Reed Sinnett throwing the pick. And I just wrote it as, hey, Parnell, Motley, made a nice pick on a short route. I didn't realize it was Brady. So, I mean, it's a bigger deal if it's Brady. And you'd probably, if I knew that, would have mentioned it in the first tweet. But somebody else mentioned today, we were talking in practice, that, again, you kind of got into that defensive nastiness in the last 2 years where if Winston threw the pick, it was probably a bigger deal than the defensive guy making a play because people got to be so apprehensive about the number of interceptions he was throwing. So it does take away from it sometimes. Honestly, that first deep ball from Brady to Scotty Miller, Skip Holtz used to always say when I covered USF that practice is hard because every great play for the offense is a bad play because your defense gave it up and vice versa. So wherein it's a great play for Tom Brady to hit Scotty Miller, he beat Carlton Davis pretty much straight on in man coverage. So that's part of it too. So every tweet you have that. I do think just because it's the first day in pads, it's not a huge thing for fans to say, oh, Tom Brady threw a pick. There was another pick later on that was like a deflected pick, and Motley was like bobbling it as he went out of bounds. And the fields aren't really lined. So from the far side of the field, it was hard to tell whether it was really a pick or not. You can't really go back and ask. But there's definitely a different mentality. I think there's this general honeymoon excitement with Tom Brady, where at least until he throws a pick six in a game or something, people are going to probably absolve him of a lot of sins in practice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, so, speaking of undrafted free agents and, Motley is a great example. Are there any others that stand out to you that might survive these roster cuts and kind of surprise fans?
Yeah, definitely. Outside linebacker, it's like we got today, we had a nice kind of parade of Zoom calls after practice. So like Jason Pierre-Paul was in there, Larry Foote, who's the outside linebackers coach, was, and I asked both of them kind of fishing. This is the time of year where you just want to hear about who's impressing. So you'll try to ask open-ended questions like, hey, of the young outside linebackers, who's impressed you? Who's really stood out? And it's hard because usually when you ask that, the easy answer is just all of them look good, which can be true, but you want to hear them name a guy first, basically. So there's two outside linebackers the Bucs have. One is a kid from LSU named Michael Divinity, and the other is a small school kid from Wagner named Cam Gill. And I've talked to them both this summer, and I've gotten to know them a little bit. And I think they both have a very real chance. It's like, especially if the Bucs carry a fifth outside linebacker, which is kind of possible. It's hard to tell. I think they really could. I mean, we know that Shaq and Jason Pierre-Paul are the first two, and Anthony Nelson is clearly the third. But after that, it's kind of wide open. There's Cousin Daniels, who was there last year on the practice squad. There's Quentin Bell, who came on mid-year last year, was on the practice squad. They both kind of have a head start because they've been in practice in this defense for at least a half a year. But Divinity has played inside and outside linebacker. So sometimes if you're on the bubble, it helps if you can back up two different spots. Cam Gill, is kind of has more of an inside linebacker body type than he has an outside linebacker body type. So they both could be tweeners and kind of just cross train at both. It would not surprise me if either of those get that. I think one of the offensive linemen could very well make it. Like I said, we're writing on John Mulshon from Boise State. He's got some versatility. Sometimes to make it on the NFL as a backup lineman, you have to kind of be willing to back up 2 or 3 different spots. So wherein Zach Shackelford, is a really promising center from Texas. All he's ever been is a center. So it's easier to go from center to guard because all you have to do is not snap, basically, and adjust your blocking. But Mulshon's the opposite. He started like in a span of 4 games last year. He started at left guard, left tackle, and right tackle. So he's done a little bit of everything. He's never snapped in a game, but they have him do it a lot. So I think they're kind of getting him ready for the chance to be an 8th or 9th offensive lineman who could back up at guard and center. If you're the 8th or 9th lineman, it's kind of like a red shirt almost. It's like you're on the roster, but if nobody gets hurt, you're probably inactive on Sunday. And it's just a year where you can develop and learn. But those offensive linemen are a real chance. I used to think that one of the receivers could get in, but now since they added Shady McCoy, I think they're probably only going to carry 5 receivers. And it would be tough to, for one of those undrafted guys like a Josh Pearson to make it. He'd have to beat out like Tyler Johnson as a draft pick or somebody like Justin Watson or Scotty Miller, who's pretty well entrenched in this offense. So right now, those are the best bets. The nice thing about having a 16-player practice squad is that you can really, really stock up on those undrafted guys. So right now they're at 80 and have to cut to 53, but they really are only cutting to 69 because of those 53, you get 16 of them back. And all the developmental types, in years past, you might have worried that, wow, that guy looked really good in the preseason. The Vikings or the Raiders are going to gobble him up. There's no preseason games. So the guys that look good in practice are kind of hidden gems that you can kind of, stash in the practice squad and let them develop for a couple weeks. That's at least how it looks right now.
Greg, I was going to ask you about, how the new guys, especially the ones up north, are adjusting to the heat, especially Gronk. Gronk has been the big thing of the day. He's been sweaty. He's not adjusting right. And then I look on Twitter, you're kind of getting into a Twitter humidity fight with your boy, Bernie Montavon. That was pretty funny. So I don't want to get into the humidity with you because I know I'll probably lose that conversation.
That's right. You can block me from the podcast.
So we all hope, Gronk is going to be fine. I don't think that anybody should be concerned about him trying to adjust with the heat of Tampa. I mean, he's been down here for a little bit. He should be able to adjust it. But have the other guys been kind of in his kind of same spot where they have to, they haven't been able to adjust to the Tampa heat yet, or are they just kind of getting used to it?
I mean, we saw it with Brady because obviously Brady has spent his whole career in Boston, went to college in Michigan. So, I mean, he had some high school years in California, but that's a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
To where you just notice that he's just toweling off constantly. And he's almost to the point of being a joke. He's huge on hydration. So he drinks a ton. So it makes sense then that he'll also sweat a lot. But so you see him just constantly toweling off, getting his hands, it's just quarterback's tough to just sweat it because you want to keep your hands kind of crisp and ready to throw. Gronk kind of got thrown under the bus today by Arians. It was almost funny in that somebody had asked like how he's adjusted to the condition. And he just said, well, he's probably in New England shape. He's not in Florida shape. And then he said, oh, the heat's kicking his ass a little bit. And he said that he's never sweated this much in his career. So again, I think there's lots of people that from up north come to Florida, and it's not even the heat, like you said, it's just really humid. So like they're practicing at 9 a.m. They moved it up to 8:30 even to kind of beat the sun a little bit and get out early before it gets to be oppressively hot. But it's still pretty hot out there. Like we were lucky where we were standing as the media is a shaded area. There's a bunch of really big trees in one corner of the practice area. And I was grateful to have shade and a little bit of a breeze coming off the little pond they have there. Because in direct sun, especially if you're wearing a mask in direct sun, I got like a big hat on for shade. And it's like a Dutch oven that you're in watching practice, basically. So I was happy to have shade today. I can totally get what Gronk is dealing with.
Yeah, that Florida heat is no joke. But I just wanted to ask, just to backtrack slightly about preseason. With the pandemic totally canceling out preseason, is there more of a sense of urgency for them to get their roster and everybody up to date when it comes to game one? Yeah,
it's hard because the logical way to get around not having preseason games is to have more contact in practice, but you kind of don't want to do that because that leads to more injuries in practice. Exactly. So what they have to do is simulate the live bullets, if you will, of an NFL game. Luckily, most of their team has been in NFL games and knows that. But for the rookies, for a guy like Tristan Wirfs, he's going to get pass rushers coming at him at 3/4 speed or knowing that they can't hit the quarterback. And then he's going to go directly from that to having Cam Jordan, who wants to knock Tom Brady out of the game. So you have to get them prepared from a urgency standpoint to be ready for what will be even faster and even more physical than anything they've known in practice. And it's hard to do that without a game situation. So I think they'll have some scrimmages, but again, they're not going to be leveling each other in those scrimmages. So it's hard to know what's coming that way.
All right, Greg. Well, last one from us here. Listen, I think, and it's funny you actually brought up preseason because it's one of those things where I think as a fan, you look at it and go, man, preseason is so long and it's just, it's probably 4 games too many or 2 games too many. But then you get to a pandemic and you're like, wow, I see the value of what preseason really is now. And so with that being said, I think there is an important question to ask is how in the world do you prepare for that? Just kind of going off of what you said, because in just less than a few weeks here, they're getting ready to travel to New Orleans and face a Saints team that is very together. They have chemistry together. There's not a whole lot of new player except for Emmanuel Sanders on the offensive side of the ball, who's learning the playbook and things like that. And, how do the Bucs respond to not having a preseason? And do you kind of see, what's really the plan as far as the next several weeks? Like, how do you kind of see it going for the Buccaneers over the next several weeks as far as preparation goes?
Yeah, like I said, I think they're going to have more contact in practice, okay? You don't really know what kind of a hitter a young guy on defense is because he's only hitting in practice. So you'll have plays. There are plays you'll see in a padded scrimmage where you'll see a guy come across the middle, and it's like, that's a nice catch, but in a real game, the linebacker would have destroyed him there, And the linebacker sometimes will do that thing where you kind of just go past the guy, and it's like that, like, I'll tap you on the shoulder as I go by to let you know I was there. Things wouldn't have gone well on a Sunday in September. They look okay on an August Monday. And I think you can get a sense from that, like, wow, that guy was in really good position where he would have been able to make a play. He just didn't get to because it's practice. And it's funny because there's this like line in the sand. They'll call it a thump where you're going to have a little bit of contact, especially in the run drills, but they don't want you taking anybody to the ground just because that's where you get injuries. And then every once in a while, someone will just kind of coyly forget that and drop somebody, right? Yeah. And it's like you'll kind of get in trouble, but you've also made it clear what you can do given the chance. So there's this really fine line between adhering to the rules that are set up with safety in mind and also kind of venting and letting steam out and clobbering somebody, even though it's your own teammate. It's a hard thing to do right, because if you have one injury, if there's one case where a guy goes to hit somebody and like breaks a hand or pops a shoulder out or something, it looks terrible. And you think, oh, wow, that's terrible. Why were they hitting so much? But if you don't, and it's week 1 and you're missing tackles because you haven't really tackled anybody in 10 months or 9 months or whatever it is, that's a problem too. So it's definitely a challenge for these coaches. And like all the experience in the world, Bruce Arians was coaching for 45 years. None of that teaches him how to get ready for a season without any exhibition, any scrimmage, any preseason games. Like you said, they're meaningless, but they're really, really important for setting the tone and ramping up for when everything suddenly matters. Because right now you're just going to go from 0 to 60 with nothing in between, and you just have to be able to handle yourself at full speed, where if you mess up, it's a touchdown for the other team in a game that counts. So that it's tough, but it's what everybody's going to be dealing with in whatever 4 weeks.
All right. Well, Greg Auman from The Athletic, thank you so much, first of all, for joining us. And as always, as we did last time, you got the floor, my friend. What do you got going on? What's some stories coming up? And tell us where we can find you and just kind of plug yourself for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's a really busy time of year. I've done like 19 stories already this month. We did full position previews on every position they have. And now with practice every day, there's stuff to write about every day. So obviously it's stuff that we tweet out, but you can kind of collect it and bring it together and have a daily roundup on our site as well. So yeah, everything I write is at theathletic.com. They don't really have any specific specials right now, but they kind of had a weird kind of happy hour thing today where if you weren't a subscriber and you clicked on a story, I think you could have gotten a sub for 40% off today. So that's only, I think it's $3 a month to get it that way. I'm on Twitter at my name, GREGAUMAN. Those of you that haven't blocked me this evening, please follow, join in. Usually the interaction there is pretty civil. So thanks again for having me on, guys. I really enjoyed it and hope you guys are doing well.
All right, Greg Auman from The Athletic. Thank you very much.
Bye, Greg.
We'll see you hopefully soon during the season, and we'll get some season stuff going on for sure.
We'll do it again. Thank you.
Did Greg already give his way too early prediction for?
Yeah, he gave that in episode 3.
We've already
got a rundown. Now that you've seen a
Greg,
practice.
Joe Fulford, aka the Animal, is shouting out, saying hi to you.
Okay, hello back. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Greg.
Great to have you back, Greg. So yeah, shout out from like everyone sort of watching all over the place. I mean, we've got like Ohio, we've got West Virginia showing up.
Hold on. Oh, Bushman, did you change your hat?
Oh my!
You just low key.
I thought we'd snag Bruce Arians as our next guest.
Hey, no risk it, no biscuit. Look, there it is, right there. All you're missing is the beard, buddy.
This is incredible. Oh my gosh!
You're still muted.
And a keg underneath the shirt.
Rightfully so.
Oh my gosh.
Rightfully so.
I bought this last year when they first came on sale. So
that's impressive.
Yeah,
that's really impressive.
The Clippers are up 5-18.
This is a football show, so
how can you be up 5-18?
I'm out. You're muted.
Put her in the penalty box, man.
She is in the penalty box now. She's in the penalty box. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something a little bit different, and normally we kind of do this toward the end of the show, but I wanted to give an opportunity here because again, we really, in case you guys don't know, somebody's echoing. First of all. But secondly, in case you guys don't know, there is a new show that is coming to FanStream Sports. We talked about it a little bit in the beginning, and I want to give them some time to kind of talk about what that show is going to be. And so us gentlemen are going to back out for just a couple of seconds here, and we're going to let you guys take the floor. Please tell us your new show, what is going on, when does it come on, and, just tell us a little bit about it. What can we expect from your guys' show? So
Okay, everybody who is tuned in tonight, I will let you know that me and Kaylee will be kicking off our new podcast, all female hosts. But that does not mean that we're only talking female sports. Of course, we will be involving a lot of female athletes, but we will be doing the male side as well with the NFL and NBA. The NBA has kicked off their playoff season, so that's going to be a lot to talk about as well. And the bubble that's going on in Bradenton, we will be getting a lot of the WNBA involved. But me and Kayla will be kicking off our show next Wednesday. Hopefully, I believe it's at 9 p.m. We might have a time change, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're very excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be ladies' night. It's on Wednesdays, so we're going to have a cocktail. We're going to talk sports. So, we're going to have fun, talk some social media, get serious, talk some social justice, some professional sports that are going on right now. So it'll be a good time.
I'm very happy that FanStream Sports is giving us the opportunity to let you guys know how sports are from a female's point of view, because everybody seems to be interested. So I'm very excited.
All right, folks. Well, we are excited to bring on our next guest to the show. This is first of all a huge honor for us. I think this is probably, no offense to Greg Auman, who was amazing just a minute ago, but
he's a good friend of the show.
This is probably the coolest guest that we've ever had. In 17 episodes, I can probably say with confidence this is the coolest guest. Her name is Kim Murphy. She is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Successful Jocks, the women behind the uniform. And in case you don't know, and you're watching out there, she is also the mom of one Sean Murphy Bunting, who is on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And she joins us right now live from the studio over there. Kim Murphy, good evening. Welcome to Set the Sails. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Kim, thank you so much for coming on the show. That really means a lot to all of us. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, this is definitely a huge thing for us, and so we're gonna jump right into it here. The Bucs are gonna win the Super Bowl, right? No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna say that. No, actually, I would love
pressure.
Talk about pressure. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about Successful Jocks and the women behind the uniform, and just kind of tell us how that whole thing got started. Tell us a little bit about the company.
Well, Successful Jocks is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of male athletes by empowering the women, supporting them. And I started Successful Jocks in about 2016. And at that time, I was working with empowering student athletes. And started in 2016. And for the last couple of years, I kind of put it to the side because I was just so busy doing, working with my other I have 4 sons and just making sure that they were doing everything they needed to do. So I didn't have really a lot of time. And then as time went on, last year, I decided to, I just started thinking about my life and the things that I went through raising athletes, and decided to add the women behind the uniform to that, to empower, women raising the male athletes, because, without us, we're their first coaches, and we need a supportive environment. So I just looked at my life and everything that I've been doing for the last 19 years. When my son got drafted last year in the 2019 draft, that made my 19th year being a sports mom. So I added the women behind the uniform, and we're out here just empowering women, raising athletes, just being that voice for them and letting them know that they have a supportive environment.
Cool. And my sort of question to you is sort of off the back of that. And apologize, it's probably slightly personal, but representing, obviously, you've got Successful Jocks, which is a fantastic organization, and it's something really everyone should be behind. But also in that as well, you're sort of like being professional, representing, obviously, like doing what you're doing. But when you have someone like your son, Sean, who's now very much in the public eye, how do you sort of deal with the separation between sort of the professionalism of what you do and obviously your relationship with Sean, and then personally the fact that like Sean is so in the public eye and yet he is your son who you love more than anything? I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, actually, what I'm doing is just carrying over onto what I'm doing with him as well. So just raising him and just being a role model for him and providing the information. The same thing that I'm doing right now for him is the things that I'm doing for the other women behind the uniforms, and I want to do for as well as the other athletes. So just being a role model and just allowing him to be that role model. And my other son, I have another son that's in college, and I have a high school player as well. So everything that I'm going through with them, helps me on the business side, and it helps them, in their careers, and it helps other athletes in their careers, and it also helps other women behind the uniform. So
I mean, how is it as well though that you deal with the criticism almost, because we all know and we've seen it, like Sean Murphy Bunting when he first came into the team took 1 or 2 games to get used to the standard of, not even the standard, the speed of the NFL. And I was aware that he was catching a lot of criticism on social media. How is that something that you deal with? I mean, obviously, I assume that you must get mad about that.
Well, actually, I don't pay attention to it. That's the one thing that, and that's the thing when he came into, the NFL, he's, confident with who he is. And I told him from day one that you can't pay attention to what people say. People are going to always say, something about you. You can do the most, and you're still going to be, talked about. So that's the one thing that he's always, listen. He listens to me. I am a licensed professional counselor, and I always laugh at him. I say, you have a whole lot of sessions logged in your book, with me. So, and that's the one thing that I've always, taught them, is to believe in themselves and have faith and know that you can do all things, and don't worry about what other people say or what other people think. So yeah, that first game, we were down in Pittsburgh. Yes, that was a rough game for him. But like I told him that, everybody, their first day of work is never going to be, easy. It's something that you're not going to know. It's something that you're not going to do right, but once he figured it out, and just talking to him and making sure that he's confident within himself. Once he figured it out, it's no turning back.
Right. So you did mention that you've been a sports mom for 19 years. Can you bring us back to that moment where you found out that your son was going to be playing professional football?
the moment of the draft or when I realized that he had something special? Which question?
Bring them both to me, girl.
Okay. Well, Sean played football, baseball, and basketball since he was 4 years old. And there was times that, I would look at him, he would go out on the field and he turns into this, professional little league player, whatever sport it was. And it was high school. It was his senior year. And he had 3 All-Star games in one day to play in. And I think that was the moment that I realized that this is real, because he had all 3 uniforms in the car. And he went to one game and he get back in the car and he's in the back seat taking his clothes off and he's putting on the next uniform and we're headed to the next game. And same thing. He finished that game, and he come back to the car and he changed it, and we did 3 All-Star games, and then afterwards I read a story in the news, and it talked about him playing in 3 All-Star games, and that's when I really realized, like, okay, he's something special because he looked like he belonged in all 3. He wasn't the one sitting on the bench; he was the starter of each game, and he really did his best in every last one. And I couldn't imagine, like, how do you go out and play 3 All-Star games, have the energy to do that for one, and then do it on a high level? So I realized at that point that, he had something special, which I've been nurturing it the whole time. And then, he went to Central Michigan after him getting a late start at Central. And I made sure that he didn't give up on himself because he didn't have any offers. And it was mainly because he was playing 3 different sports. And at the time when it's football going on and, college, he was supposed to be at camps and things like that, he was playing baseball. So it was, through someone else that said, hey, you got to kind of, stop playing baseball this year and you got to take him to some camps. And I had to make up some time. I actually took him to 17 camps in a matter of 30 days. And I put like 5,000 miles on my car. And we stayed in hotels probably 25 of those 30 days. So, wow. I made up some time and it paid off. I knew that, he was supposed to be, I knew God had a plan for him. And so I made sure that I watered that passion. He was passionate about sports since he was 4 years old. So I watered that passion and I just helped him get there. And then when that moment came for him, that draft day moment, all I can say is I can think is that, we did it because it was a team effort. It was a lot of times that I didn't know if I was coming or going. I didn't have a minute to myself trying to do it times 4. It was not just for him. I had other boys playing. So I didn't know whether I was coming or going. And I just, that moment was like a relief, like, all of my hard work, paid off, all of his hard work paid off, and to see him live his dream, it was just, amazing. It was just a wonderful feeling.
Awesome. So, as someone who's been on that team side, I really love what you're trying to do. As a professional, the Bucs do a great job of activating different events for women in the sports industry, but also in the families of their players. But what do you think that NFL teams and professional sports teams can do? What's one thing they can implement to help the families, the women that are in their players' lives?
Well, actually, I am working with the Bucs right now. So because of this, I reached out to them a few months ago and I said, hey, as a rookie mom, it was a little challenging for me to maneuver through the system. I'm used to, being organized. I had to be organized for the last 19 years. And I came in not knowing what was going on. And I really didn't want to stress Sean out. There was a lot of times I had to ask questions on, what about this game and where are you staying at? And I know the first game, the Pittsburgh game, I spent so much money for some preseason tickets, and I was kind of embarrassed to tell somebody what I spent, and I was up in the bleachers. So, and it was just because we didn't know, and those are the things that I wanted to other mothers to not have to go through other families. So I reached out to the Bucs and I asked them if I can, take on a role as a team mom or parent liaison. And we got to talking, and now I'm behind the scenes as a parent liaison. And my goal is to bridge the gap between the families and the organizations and just be that, that person, that voice, and so that the mothers or the families of the Bucs can have a resource person to go to. So it's not only myself, but we have a team dad or a dad on the team, another player's dad who's we're partnered together and we're working together. And we have our first Zoom call with the rookie parents coming up this week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome.
And that's awesome. Well, Kim, I want to ask you, because we do this to every guest that comes on our show, and you know, you're awesome, and I feel like you would really appreciate this maybe a little bit.
Okay.
We ask all of our guests to give us your way too early season prediction for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Record, win-loss, and how far do they go?
All the way. Go Bucs.
Oh my goodness gracious! You and Ruth The Truth. I swear, you optimistic people. You know,
I have faith.
So
Kim, I just have one more question for you. So Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is involved in making a lot of jobs for the Black community, as well as having women be involved in the coaching staff. How important is that to you, that Bruce Arians, the head of everything, is doing such a great job getting everybody involved?
I mean, that is very important to me. And a lot of times, you know, the players, and that's from on all levels, a lot of times they won't show emotion, you know, to the guys on the team or the coaches or the, you know, but if there's women around there, you know, they might have the opportunity to you know, express themselves a little bit different if they have coaches or trainers or things like that, where they can, you know, share some things that they might not necessarily share with, you know, with the coaches. So I'm loving that as women around, being able to provide some support and motivation to these players. So I'm happy that he's doing that. Absolutely.
Women run the world.
I would be remiss, and real quick, Bushman down below me has a question here real quick, but I do want you to think about this also while he's asking his question. If you feel comfortable as a mom, I would love to hear a funny story about Sean Murphy Bunting. I would love that.
Well, when Sean was growing up and we would always go and visit our relatives and things like that, his cousins or his brothers was never enough competition for him. So he would go knocking on door to door and ask, do any kids live here? Do any kids live here? So yeah, he wanted, you know, some other competition. And it was funny because when he was drafted, the draft night, he got a tweet from one of the kids when he was like 6 years old and said, do you remember me? You came knocking at my door. Do any kids live here? You know, to congratulate him. So, you know, I always tell that story that he loved to play sports. He always had a ball with him, and he was going to try to find him some competition.
Hey, Kim, I got a question for you. Are you guys solely focused on parents of football players only, or are you guys branching out to like NBA and baseball players, hockey players, like all sports when it comes to your organization?
We're focused on all sports, and it's just it's male athletes. I'm not focused on the women athletes because I can't really, you know, provide a roadmap to that. I raised 4 boys, so we're focused on, you know, all sports but male sports.
Awesome.
All right, Kim, we're gonna wrap up here with you, but I want to give you an opportunity, and we're all gonna back out, and I would love for you to just give us kind of what you have going on with the company. I know you've told us a lot of things already, but kind of where we can find you on social media. You know, kind of just plug yourself a little bit and let us know where we can find you and how we would help out this organization as well.
Okay. Well, I'm on at Successful Jocks on all social media platforms. And my website is www.successfuljocks.org. And right now, my mission is to just my motivation is my mind and my heart is really on the college athletes and the high school athletes that's not playing right now. So I am really trying to reach out right now to motivate them and to empower them to know that, you know, it's everything that they, you know, want to do is still within them, that they have to keep the fire lit and just keep working hard and just, you know, not worry about everything else, silence the noise around them and just keep, you know, working and putting forth an effort to be great, and everything will work out, you know, in the end. And I just, you know, like I said, you can find me, you know, at Successful Jocks, you know, on all the platforms. And I just want everybody to be a part. And we, like I said, we are their first coaches, and we deserve a supportive environment. And I am the voice for all the women raising athletes.
Absolutely. Well, Kim, I again, as I said in the beginning, you are absolutely one of the greatest people we've had on this show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on. And let's not let this be the last time we hear from you. We would love to have you again.
Kim, I would love to have you on a segment of Beauty in the Cleats with me.
She's guest coaching now. You see this over here?
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? But you know what? I absolutely agree. absolutely agree with Jay. We need to get Sean on now to come and tell a story about his mom.
He's going to tell a story about you now.
Yeah.
But no, actually, these two ladies down here are actually hosting their own podcast starting next Wednesday. So that's pretty exciting. And so I'll have them reach out to you as well. But definitely some cool stuff, and we're excited, and we love the mission of your nonprofit, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. My grandmother was a big supporter of me in athletics, and so hearing that story just kind of reminds me of her. So I'm very thankful. So we put the description down here as well. Thank you, Jay Bucs. You guys can check out the website there for Successful Jocks, and keep doing what you're doing. It means a lot to so many people, and we're here to support you and root you on as well.
Thank you. And it's successfuljocks.org.
Oh, .org, not .com, Jay Bucs.
It's an organization.
Jeez, Jay.
Jeez, Jay.
Wow.
All right.
Let the side down.
Kim, thank you so much for
Kim
joining.
doesn't have to deal with this.
You have a great rest of your night.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Take
much.
care, Kim.
Man, she's awesome, man. That was great.
That was great.
She was amazing.
All right, before we get out of here, we got about 5 minutes left. I wanted to go over this with you guys because we started kind of doing this last week, and I wanted to kind of talk about this again today. We did a Twitter poll last week on our Twitter page, and I wanted to ask you guys. This is a very difficult question, by the way, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing you all squirm. In case you didn't know, we did a Twitter poll. You can find us at @sales_set on Twitter. And the Twitter poll of the week is this: who would you rather have retire as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer out of these four? Mike Evans, Levante David, Chris Godwin, or Devin White? Who would you rather have retire as a Buck if you had the choice?
Mike
Evans.
Evans.
Is
I
anyone?
think he's gonna have the most.
That really crapped on top of your cornflakes, didn't it?
Oh, Bushman, please tell me you have a different opinion.
No, I said Evans.
Ashley, I love you.
Evans.
I said Evans all day. Yeah, Evans all day.
Wow.
I think with him, he's the most electric out of all those guys that should retire a Buck, because I mean, coming out of college and immediately makes an impact. He's got 1,000-yard seasons for the past 5 years. So it's like, why would he want to go anywhere else? And he's been paid, so it's like, come on, dude.
Look at Troy Auman on YouTube talking Levante. Go ahead, BritBuc.
You know what? I was actually really, really practical about this because, as Evan rightly says, you've got the back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, but as well, you've got to remember that Mike Evans isn't getting younger. At the end of this contract, if he leaves Tampa Bay, that means that he's leaving for like one of those huge, ridiculous retirement contracts. And it's just all about the money. Or that means the Bucs are just so far away from being a competitor that he's going somewhere to actually finally get a ring, which means the Tom Brady experiment didn't work, which means the Bucs are mired in the crap for years to come.
No, they're not, because they'll get Aaron Rodgers as soon as Tom Brady leaves. That's why.
I've said that. No conspiracy. I have said that a few times now.
Everybody's going to come to Bay to retire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's warm down here. I don't believe that.
Everyone retires in Florida. Believe me.
So that's a good question. Would you rather have a team that has, retired successful quarterbacks for the next 10 years, or would you rather have a franchise guy?
Do they win?
Yeah, do they win?
I mean, it's Brady. So let's just say
do they win?
Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers comes in after him and wins the Super Bowl.
Then I don't care how old he is.
With that.
You might as well call it the Tampa Bay retirement home. That's just I'm cool with it.
Tampa Bay Blue Hairs. That's cool with me.
Yeah, blue rinses.
That's great. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up the show here. Well, first of all, we do have to give our sad moment of the day. This is another fun thing. If you guys have one,
we also have to do something else, Mr.
We are going to get there. Gosh, you're jumping ahead of me. Calm
you're
down.
Big league. You're big leaguing us all the way.
Well, it's called segments, buddy. Get used to it. Hey, real quick, we got 2 minutes. First thing, we have to do our sad news of the day. And this is actually probably going to be more sad.
When did you come up with this segment? Sad news of the day? That brings everybody down.
I know.
It's sad news.
You're with me on this, right?
You think it's bad now. Wait till you see Ruth's reaction to this. Gerald McCoy is out for the season.
Well, yes.
Dallas Cowboys offensive line or defensive tackle. So sorry about that. But shouldn't
this Justin Dak Prescott is dead. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Wow. went to a whole nother level that I did not
Why does this
go
happen?
to.
What happens when seriously when this show gets past 45 minutes old, it goes to shit.
Crazy,
Everybody just like says,
And
something
I hadn't had one drink all show.
Are you sure you can't even?
from your
I haven't
from
had
your
one.
It's sober El Bushman for the whole hour. I haven't had one drop of alcohol.
But you know what? You are you're my best mate.
Oh,
He's not dead. I had to go
Thanks,
check.
buddy.
But Ruth, she's not
His
dead. All
career
right,
is though.
we're gonna go ahead and announce the winner of the jersey contest, and thank you all so much. By the way,
Andy Dalton, day one starter for the Cowboys.
All right,
Probably win.
yeah. So
Apparently, we're not done with this segment.
we're
We're in
announcing-
segments, James. Apparently, we're not done with this segment.
Even you. We're announcing the winner of the jersey, which, by the way, thank you so much to our friends over at the Jersey Wave for making this possible. We had a pretty good amount of entries, actually, for Twitter, which is really surprising because we're still building our Twitter following. So it's definitely something really cool. So the winner,
So start following us on Twitter.
Follow us.
the winner of the jersey of your choosing from any sport, by the way, you can choose MLB, NHL, whatever. We're going to tweet this out too in case you're not watching, which you should be
WNBA.
to win.
I thought that was one of the conditions.
Well,
Nah,
we're about to end the show. It's okay.
We just did sad news of the day, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
The winner of the jersey, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Troy Auman.
Who was watching, by the way?
Is
Troy
he watching?
Holman is watching.
was
He's
watching.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
no,
was
he's
watching, and he was.
Okay, so Troy Hallman, congratulations. You are the winner of the jersey of your choice contest. Jay Bucks, you never win because you're associated with Bucs Live Media, which is a part of the terms and conditions that we talked about last week, by the way. So congratulations, Troy Hallman. If you are watching this still, please message us on Facebook so that I can get you in touch with our guy, Craig, and he can hook you up with your jersey. So congratulations on that. And
You can also message us on Twitter.
or Twitter too, I guess. Yeah, that's fine.
And Twitch.
Twitter's and Twitch. Yeah, which are one follower. Are they still here?
I
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
are.
Yeah,
They've been
they are.
watching the whole show. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Troy. Yay.
Yeah.
Troy.
Yeah.
It must be present to win. Fantastic.
Troy,
All
I
right.
want to know, what jersey of your choice? Please let us know. What team? What league?
Wildcats. Oh, what team? Never mind. Okay. Sorry. Kaylee got the
I
reference.
love that reference. I love
Thank
it.
you. Thank you very much.
I didn't even hear what you said.
Wildcats. I actually watched that movie
Oh,
for the first
that's
time.
it.
It's actually a
We're
really
talking
good.
about High School Musical, which is
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't get that reference in.
all right, guys. That's gonna do it for our show tonight.
And that's one of your man cards. There we go.
All right. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that to you. All right. So as always, real quick, we'll go around just real fast before we end it. Final thoughts from everybody. BritBuc first.
You know what? It's just how amazing a person is Sean Murphy Bunting's mom, Kim. Guys, seriously, go and check out what they're doing on like the social media platforms. I think, you know what? Even if you're not an athlete, you need this lady's energy in your life. She's amazing. Just get following, and you know what? Keep following and sharing the show because we love you guys. We do this for you guys, and it wouldn't be what it is without you guys. So again, from me, thank you so much for watching the show across all the platforms that you're watching. And a big shout out to our Twitch follower. You know what? You're my MVP.
That's right. El Bushman, final thoughts from you.
I gotta follow that. Jeez. Yeah, I will say tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. For Sports Caffeine with Kaylee and I. We'll be on there to get your morning cup of sports, and we will debut our new segment, Happy News of the Day, and dead football player of the moment.
I was
That'll
trying to be.
That will
funny.
be
That
our
was the whole point of
segment
it.
for
Anyway.
tomorrow's Sports Caffeine.
You
at
see
9
what
a.m.
You
happens?
built it up too far.
I try to be creative and do fun things, and then El Bushman just, why would we do Sanders? Anyway, just like that.
Because
email.
he's the Grinch. He is
Just like
the Grinch.
email I got earlier.
You're a mean one.
Ruth The Truth, final thoughts real quick before you go.
I'm very sad to hear about McCoy's injury, and I'm hoping for the best, and I'm praying for his success
Dak Prescott,
and for Dak Prescott to live another 100 years.
Don't worry, he's alive.
I will be going live on
His
a
career isn't, though.
YouTube channel called Dallas Cowboys for Life at 8 p.m. tomorrow. So check me out with Sid. We will be discussing all things Cowboys. as well as me and Kaylee's show that will be kicking off not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, called Beauty in the Cleats. So make sure everybody stay tuned on Wednesday nights for Ladies Night. And the Dallas Mavericks are up by 10.
Who cares? Kaylee, you're up.
Yeah, I don't care about the Dallas Mavericks, but
Wow.
Gardner Minshew's taking the Jocks to the Super Bowl in York. That's all I got.
What is happening right now? Anyway, all right.
This took a turn for the worst.
This is really getting bad, guys.
You know, Kaylee, you
all
should
right.
be Gardner Minshew for Halloween. There you go.
I was him last year, so.
Oh, you were? Oh,
Did
okay.
you Sharpie the mustache and all that?
I actually got a mustache from the game. It sticks on.
Oh.
I must ask you a question. All right. Anyway.
James, mute yourself for that one.
Yeah, let me just.
seriously.
God's
Yo,
sakes.
question. Totally random and unrelated to
jokes.
anything. But would it be weird if I got the word truth tattooed on the inside of my finger?
No, do it.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for our podcast.
In memory of Ruth The Truth.
I'll bet you
Co-host.
I'll bet you won't happen on that other show you're about to go on. All right. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, guys. Appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support, guys. And we will see you all next Monday night on Set the Sales. Thank you again. We couldn't do this without you. Congratulations, Troy, for winning the jersey. And we'll talk to you guys next week. See you later.
Thanks for listening to Set the Sales. Listen to us on Apple Podcast, a Bucs Life Media production in association with FanStreamSports.com. See you next Monday on Set the Sales.